ever thought you would hear the names Dan Quayle, Charles Manson, and Mr. Rogers in the same sentence? Well, Bill Gerhardt managed to punk the famous and infamous for 15 years, corresponding with them in the voice of his own inner child, 10-year-old Billy. And he's just released a collection of his letters in a new book entitled Little Billy's Letters, an incorrigible inner child's correspondence with the famous, infamous, and just plain bewildered. He joins us now from Los Angeles. Welcome.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Good. Give us the concept, how you came up with the idea and exactly how you executed it.
Well, I came to LA about 15 years ago to become a screenwriter, and that did not work out. And I had a lot of spare time on my hands. So one day I found a bunch of spare stamps at a local post office, and I decided to just write some prank letters as kind of a way to kill time.
How old were you at the time? I'm sorry, how old were you at the time, and what made you decide to do it in the voice of a 10-year-old?
Well, I was probably about 31, and I decided to do it as a child because I was a fan of Don Novello's Laszlo letters, and he had already done it as an adult. So I decided, as a child, I might have a better chance of getting more responses.
Can you tell us about some of the most memorable responses that you've had, names that we recognize?
Well, Billy decided to write to a bunch of people, celebrities and serial killers, to find out whether or not he should stay in school. And one of the people who wrote him back was Charles Manson. Charles Manson didn't have an opinion. He just wanted to find out what had happened to his LA Times. And Tori Spelling didn't have an opinion either. The Unabomber said he didn't know me well enough to advise me. Kathy Lee Gifford said stay in school.
Do you have some favorite unsuspecting participants that really engaged you more than you expected, kind of wanted to befriend Billy or stay in touch?
Well, I wrote to the Church of Scientology to find out what religion I should join, and they were very helpful. They wanted me to join. They sent me all sorts of stuff, pamphlets, letters, you name it.
And what about the Mormons? I understand you were in contact with them as well.
Well, the Mormons decided to actually dispatch a couple of missionaries to try and recruit Billy, and they came by a few times.
They came to your house?
Yes, they did. But there was no Billy to be found, so Billy's father talked to them, and they came back 3 times, but eventually, Billy decided to become a Catholic, and they gave up.
This is something that obviously started out as sort of an experiment for you, but what did you learn along the way as you got the various responses? That's Ted Kaczynski's letter, the Unabomber that we're showing now. What did Ted Kaczynski tell you? And just tell us in general what you learned.
Well, Ted Kaczynski was very rational, surprise, surprise. He said to Billy he couldn't really advise him one way or the other whether or not to stay in school because he didn't know Billy, which when you think about it, that's really probably the proper response. And along the way, I learned that most people who replied reinforced their public persona. For instance, Dan Quayle fully believed that Billy wanted to become vice president because he read his memoir. Things like that.
Wow. Well, this was a labor of love for you, and it looks like it's a lot of fun for us to go through your 15 years of punking the rich, or actually the famous and the infamous. Do you have any new projects coming up? Is Billy going to come back out and write another book?
The jig may be up on Billy after this book. I work for a record company, and I have a collection of music inspired by the Vietnam War that's coming out in June. That's what's up next for me.
All right. Well, we enjoy looking through your book and appreciate you being here with us today. Thanks.
Thanks, Cheryl.